Only 4 races remain in the 2021 season, and the fight remains close, with only 19 points between Lewis and Max. With such a small gap and a few races remaining, it's not at all surprising that many drivers have differing opinions when speculating on the outcome of the 2021 season. Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen have been rivals ever since their days in karting, and more recently that rivalry resumed with Leclerc's move to Ferrari. With the insight of battling the Dutchman over many years, Leclerc has this to say when asked about who will carry home the world title. "It is incredibly difficult to say, but I will follow my instincts. My feeling is that Max will probably come out on top because it feels like he's been quicker at more races than Lewis has been this year," said Charles Leclerc. "But Lewis is an extremely consistent driver, and he'll always be there when you don't expect him to be there. It's going to be a very close fight, but if I follow my feelings, it's probably Max." When further asked about the differences in driving styles between Lewis and Max, Leclerc commented, "They have 2 different styles," said Leclerc. "Max is a bit more on the aggressive side. Lewis is a bit more on the clean side. It's nice to be fighting with both of them. Lewis is always very, very clever in the way he positions his car to put you in a difficult situation, and he, most of the time, manages to make the pass in a clean way. Max is a little bit more aggressive, but I enjoy racing with both, and if anything, I quite like fighting with Max because it's always really on the limit." With Max Verstappen effectively replacing Sebastian Vettel as Hamilton's main rival, the German hopes Max can bring the fight and close the season out with a victory. When commenting on the 2021 battle, Sebastian highlights the issues he had when battling the Englishman. "I'm a huge fan of rivalry with respect, and I think we're seeing a very clean fight so far. I hope that Max has a better car in the end, or better position to be in at the very end, because the fight that I was in with Lewis, unfortunately, we were not as competitive to really give him a hard time in the end. So I think it was quite clear and fairly easy for him to win the championship in the end." Vettel hasn't been in contention for the title in some time. Joining Ferrari in 2015, Vettel had high hopes of adding to his 4th Drivers' Championship titles, but fell short, most notably in 2017 and 2018 when he was runner-up to Lewis Hamilton. The 4-time world champion later admits that he would appreciate an opportunity to be in Verstappen's or Hamilton's shoes for the championship battle. "We would all like to be in their position and fighting for the championship when the season comes to a close." Just like Charles Leclerc, Esteban Ocon has been racing wheel-to-wheel with Verstappen ever since the karting days. "I think the first time I raced with Max Verstappen was in 2010. It was a tough year for me transitioning into international racing. Karting is very tough anyway. I was alone with my dad, pretty much fighting the big teams." In 2014, Max Verstappen famously racked up 10 wins in his maiden season outside of karting in the European F3 season alongside Esteban Ocon, enough to convince Red Bull to hand him a Toro Rosso 2015 deal midway through the F3 season. The Frenchman says it was difficult to swallow Max's promotion into Formula 1. "I won the title in Formula 3, but the tough moment for me was that Max had signed a deal to race Formula 1. Well done to him, definitely, but when I saw the news, it was difficult to swallow. He was 3rd in the championship, I was winning, and I didn't have a seat in any category at that time. I did a few tests in GP2, but there was nothing really confirmed. The Lotus F1 Junior program had difficulties at the time, and I wasn't going anywhere, so it was quite a challenging moment. But I used it as motivation. I knew I had to work hard and keep on top of the junior categories if I was to make it to Formula 1. It was my ultimate target, not necessarily wanting to face Max again, but rather joining him in Formula 1. When asked about Max's title chances, the Frenchman agrees that Red Bull and Verstappen have been the faster package this season, but he's putting his money on Mercedes and Hamilton to turn that around. "I go for Lewis, but I agree that Red Bull and Max have been a bit faster. I trust Mercedes to turn that around," said Ocon. Kimi Raikkonen is amongst the most experienced drivers in F1, famously holding the record for the most race starts at 345. With this many races under his belt and his world title in 2007, Raikkonen has many insights into the position that Max and Lewis find themselves in. The Iceman gave a diplomatic answer when questioned on the 2021 world title battle. He said, I hope it's going to be decided on the track and not that one of them has a mechanical issue or something that decides it in the end. That would be better for F1. It's only good for the sport to have two guys fighting for it. Ricciardo raced against Hamilton in Formula 1 for a decade and was Verstappen's teammate at Red Bull Racing from 2016 to 2018. The McLaren driver can therefore assess the two rivals well. In terms of fan appeal, Ricciardo thinks Verstappen would prefer to be seen as champion. People like a new face, so I see Max becoming the more popular champion. It would be his first title, it would be something different, and that would be exciting for everyone. Max Verstappen as Formula 1 world champion, that would be a real feel-good story. Most of all, however, Ricciardo hopes for a fair fight for the title. What I would hate to see is bad luck deciding against Max or Lewis at the end. If the fight remains fair, then for me, both would be deserving world champions. Basically, I'm a fan of the approach. May the best win. As a Formula 1 fan, I obviously love the rivalry between Verstappen and Hamilton and their title duel. I see the drivers as equals, and so do the race teams. It's a constant up and down with an uncertain outcome. George Russell, who'll be Hamilton's Mercedes teammate next season, backed up his prospective colleague, claiming that his previous championship experience will help him in the fight for the title. I think it's going to be close, stated the young Briton. I think Mercedes and Lewis have got the experience and have obviously been here 7 times before in the last 7 years. I think that's going to play in their favour when it gets down to crunch time. Obviously, Red Bull and Max have been incredibly fast all year, but I think purely because of the recent experiences, probably Lewis and Mercedes. With Bottas moving to Alfa Romeo next season, it's fair to say that this year's championship, Bottas' 5th and final with Mercedes, is also the last season which he can compete for the world title for the time being. After the Turkish GP, when Bottas still had a theoretical chance of winning the World Championship, he stated that while the maths suggests he still has a chance, if he can't, he hopes Hamilton will win a record-breaking 8th championship. Theoretically, I still have a chance, he said, but if I can't be champion, let it be Lewis. When asked on the heated relationship between Max and Lewis, Valtteri Bottas believes that the close rivalry between the two drivers on the track is no cause for concern because there's no animosity between them, regardless of what they may say about each other in the heat of the moment. If I look at Turkey, I saw them having a chat and felt like everything is normal, stated the Finnish driver. It is a competition, and when you're competing hard on track, you're not going to make friends, he continued. Lewis and Max, they're both adults, so they also know that is the name of the game, and I don't think it's anything personal. That's my view. His 9th win of the season in Mexico moved him 19 points clear of Lewis Hamilton in the championship standings, with a maximum of 107 points, including those from Brazil sprint race and fastest laps, left to play for. It's far from over. But with Verstappen riding a wave of 2 straight victories into Brazil, a continuation of his current form in the next 2 races could see him wrap up the championship by the penultimate round in Saudi Arabia. The 23-year-old is now the clear favourite to be crowned champion. But, as is customary in sports, the game isn't over until it's over. Verstappen will not be at ease until it's mathematically impossible for Hamilton to win the championship. Let us know what you think about Max Verstappen's title chances this year. Will he continue his current form, or will Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes turn it around? Comment down below and let us know your thoughts.